Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have some urban stories from America. I hope you enjoy. Then have a great listen. Charlie No Face. Although it was initially believed to be just an urban legend, the story of Charlie No Face turned out to be completely real. His real name was Raymond Robinson. He was born on October 29th, 1910 in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. When he was only 8 years old, Raymond was struck in the face by a lightning bolt. Fortunately, the electric discharge did not kill him instantly. Instead, the boy suffered horrific burns to his face and body. After a long period of suffering, Raymond recovered, but his face remained marked by terrible scars. The boy became withdrawn and self-conscious about his appearance, which frightened the other residents of the town. Raymond only left the house after dark. As the years passed, the terrible accident that left him disfigured earned him the nickname Charlie No Face. After sunset, Charlie No Face could be seen walking along Route 351, Beaver County. While the locals had grown used to his presence after nightfall, tourists and occasional passers-by were absolutely terrified. From there, it was only a small step to the legend of a monstrous figure haunting the roads of Beaver County. Film producer Tisha York studied Raymond Robinson's story for nearly 3 years. Here is what she said in an interview. If you look at old Victorian-style houses, you'll notice that most of them have isolated rooms equipped with everything necessary, from furniture to plumbing. Families back then used these rooms for children like Raymond. Things were different in those days. People like Raymond were kept away from the world. That doesn't mean they were treated badly, but they were marginalized, even by their own families. Raymond Robinson died in 1985 at the age of 74. His body is buried in Grandview Cemetery in Beaver Falls. The statue, our list of urban legends and horror stories, ends with a short tale, especially Raspustrand in wealthy communities in the northern United States. The story of the clown statue, or in some versions, an angel statue, has been circulating for quite some time and has been picked up by several newspapers and news websites, presenting it as a true Ghutna. It all begins on an ordinary night with a wealthy family from a small American town. The two parents were planning to attend a charity event, so they decided to hire a babysitter for the evening to watch their children. The babysitter was given clear instructions about what the children were allowed and not allowed to do. At the same time, the young woman was strictly forbidden from snooping around the house. Basically, she only had access to the living room, kitchen, bathroom, and the children's bedroom. Everything went smoothly, with the girl strictly following the instructions. She helped the children with their homework, prepared dinner, and put them to bed at the agreed time. After finishing her tasks, the young woman went downstairs to the living room to watch TV. From this point on, the story takes a strange turn. A cold shiver ran down her spine when she noticed, in the corner of the room, a figure standing completely still. Bloody Mary. The legend of Bloody Mary is one of the oldest and most widespread urban tales in America, blending fear, teenage rituals, and myths about spirits that can be summoned. The story says that long ago, there was a woman named Mary. In some versions, she was a beautiful woman. In others, a witch falsely accused. And in darker versions, a queen or noblewoman obsessed with her own reflection. What all versions share is her violent end. She died brutally and unjustly in front of a mirror. It is said that in her final moments, Mary saw her reflection and became trapped between the world of the living and the dead, bound forever to mirrors. From here begins the ritual. The ritual. The modern legend says that if you enter a dark bathroom, stand in front of a mirror and say the name Bloody Mary 3 times, something will happen. At first, nothing seems real, only silence and your reflection staring back. But then small changes begin. The light feels dimmer, the mirror seems darker, and your reflection no longer perfectly matches your movements. After a few seconds, some say a figure appears behind you. Others claim Mary appears directly in the mirror, pale-faced, with hollow or furious eyes, sometimes crying, sometimes covered in blood. In the darkest versions, she steps out of the mirror. What Bloody Mary does. There are many versions of what she does. Sometimes she simply scares you and disappears. Sometimes she scratches your face as if trying to take it. In more disturbing versions, she drags you into the mirror, trapping you inside while she takes your place in the real world. One detail remains constant in every version. After the ritual, something feels different. Even if you don't see her, the feeling of not being alone stays. The origin of fear. Psychologists explain the legend as a visual illusion effect. In low light, the human brain distorts reflections, creating shadows, faces, and movements that aren't really there. But in American urban culture, Bloody Mary became more than a game. It became a test of courage. Many children and teenagers claim they saw something after the ritual, but no one can prove whether it was real or just fear. The ending of the legend. In every version, the idea remains the same. Mirrors are not just surfaces. Sometimes they are doors. And if you call the wrong name 3 times, you might never see just your reflection again. Hikiko-san. The legend of the dragged girl. It is said that in a small town in Japan, there once lived a girl named Hikiko. Her life was a nightmare. Her parents treated her violently, and over time, her body and mind began to change. She walked with difficulty, was constantly afraid, and avoided people. At school, things were no better. Her classmates began to laugh at her, push her around, and humiliate her. Hikiko became more and more isolated, living only with her pain. In some versions of the story, her only comfort was a kitten she found on the street. She hid it in a box and cared for it in secret, as the only good thing in her life. But one day, her classmates discovered the kitten. Laughing at her, they took the animal and tied the box to a teacher's car, calling Hikiko to come and see the joke. When the teacher started the car, the box was dragged along the asphalt. Hikiko ran desperately and grabbed the rope, trying to save the kitten. She was dragged along without anyone noticing. When the car finally stopped, it was too late. Hikiko was dead, but the kitten was still alive. 2 days later, all the children involved were found dead under mysterious circumstances. Since then, it is said that Hikiko's spirit appears at night with long black hair and dressed in white. She does not run. She does not scream. She only drags herself slowly toward those who have hurt other children. Some say that if you hear the sound of chains or dragging footsteps behind you, it is already too late. Teke Teke, the half-body woman. One of the most terrifying legends is that of Teke Teke, a woman who lost the lower half of her body in a train track accident. Because she can no longer use her legs to walk, she moves using her arms. And the sound this creates is perceived by the Japanese as Teke Teke, which is where the legend gets its name. The woman is said to have either been pushed onto the train tracks in some versions or attempted suicide in others. There are also stories claiming that station workers refused to help her, either leaving her to bleed to death or suffocating her with a plastic bag to hasten her death. In any case, she is now believed to have returned as a vengeful spirit, chasing people and cutting off their legs with a scythe, using them to replace her lost limbs. According to one version of the legend, her real name is Kashima Reiko. However, her name must never be spoken, even if she asks her victim, because doing so leads to death. Hanako-san, the girl who haunts school toilets. This legend can remind you of the character Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter. It is also about a young girl who either committed suicide or was murdered by a stranger, by classmates, or during an air raid in World War II, depending on the version of the story. In every version, she died in a school bathroom, which is why she is said to still appear there after death. The girl is usually described as wearing a red dress or skirt and having a bob haircut. In Japanese elementary schools, this legend is extremely popular, and students often try to summon Hanako-san. To do this, someone must go alone to the girl's bathroom, knock 3 times on the door of the 3rd stall, and ask, "Hanako-san, are you there?" If Hanako-san is present, she may appear as a ghostly, blood-stained hand, or she may reveal herself completely as a girl, dragging her victim into the toilet, which is believed to be a gateway to hell. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoy. I'd see you next time.